Yes, so hi everyone. So we are here for day 18 of DevOps to GitOps series. So this would be the last session of like GitOps. Like day 17 we had covered GitOps and like how to integrate and GitOps into our project. And this session would be like a complete DevOps architecture. Let's say you went into interview, you said like you worked on DevOps project, and the first question would be what was the architecture that you had. So we'll be concentrating on this today. Also, and apart from DevOps, like since in Sagar Kakkala's world, the content is bit diversified into travel, finance, podcasts, and bit of other stuff. So I'll just share my screen to show like how things work here in Sagar Kakkala's world. You just had to remember my name, and you have to search in Google Sagar Kakkala, and you'll have my website, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And in YouTube, like everything is separated by playlists. And this session like would be uploaded in DevOps with Sargakla
Você
English.
acha que
So like this is recommended to watch in a consecutive order from day one, since because like we're building up from day zero the same project. So that how it goes. And as well like you have the same project in Telugu, and as well like you have other stuffs. And as well like in website like everything is separated by contents of the blog. So, and like if you want to navigate to anything and like you want to navigate back to contents of blog, like you just had to click on logo. So that's how it works. And yes, like with that said, we'll start straight away into our session. So this is the complete overview of our project. So these are the tools that we had used across the project, Prometheus, Grafana, and like what are the tools that we had used. And like this has some cons as well in the complete project, as we had not focused completely on networking topics and even like three-tier architecture things. And that was covered actually in Java project, we have like DB front end and back end as well. Yes. So let's say now how like the architecture before we go, how it is connected. Yes, like we have three servers, like three AWS servers, build server, deploy server, and Jenkins server. As you could see, like we have build server, Jenkins, and deploy server. And this Jenkins server has SSH connection to build server. And this build server has SSH connection to deploy server. And as well, like there are variety of tools installed in each server. And the build server contains Ansible, and like in this Ansible, what it does is like when you trigger Jenkins, we are telling Jenkins to get into build server, and like we access Ansible, and for Ansible we will be running build.sh script. So this build.sh script is the main like which does all the things. It's like the build files and then like a build file bucket, like which I'll be explaining now by showing it practical like what everything does. So let's say once the developer commits the code, that's how like we trigger webhooks, like using webhooks. This webhook is not configured as of now. We'll just manually run Jenkins. Yes. So let's say this is our Jenkins server. I'm logging in. Yes, I forgot the password. Because it's admin account, I have not changed. Yes. Mm. Okay, the server itself is not working fine. Hmm. So we have this goal set project configured, and once I give like build now, what happens is mm, the first thing like this actually is configured with our repo. Mm, 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 mm. So this is the repo, like what this is the Jenkins file that we had that we were using to target. And like once it is targeted, like what it does is like it gets into the build server and it says like clone this repo, like which is day-17 repo. And once it's cloned, the second one is to run the build.yaml file using like Ansible. So once the build.yaml file is run, build.yaml file is where we adjust. It's like we are removing the existing directory. We are actually making a new directory. We are cloning the repo and we are running, like we are giving permissions to build.sh script and we are running build.sh script. So that's how like this diagram represents. It's like the Ansible, it triggers build.sh script. Once the build.sh script is triggered, what happens now is first thing, it's because it's a demo project. This is actually not recommended in real time because I want to save space. It removes existing Docker images. Once the existing Docker images are there, like it removes the directory which I had created previously, and then it creates new directory. The same thing, the repo. And then here is where it starts having build. It's like in the first session I had said like it creates a build folder, and once this build folder is created, we are actually saving this build folder inside our AWS S3 bucket. So this was the one like build artifact React microcaches. Like this is the one. We are saving it with date like through days like 26th April 2025 like DDMM YYY format. And why this is actually required is because these build factors are required in case of let's say you had server and your website is down and we cannot actually like wait for our like troubleshooting and everything. Meanwhile, what happens is we'll use this like build folder, like build, and we would actually install this build folder in React Nginx or Docker or in Kubernetes as we discussed in previous section. It's more like a disaster recovery method. So that only stands their significance, as you said, like the build files goes for build files bucket. So that's the one. And the next thing is like we are going to use our git commit ID to tag a Docker image. Let's say now our Docker hub. Yes. Let's say now our Docker hub has this image. Okay, I did not commit anything, right? That's my bad. Okay, fine. Let's commit something because we need a new commit ID for it. Mm, Yes, code, source. Let's say I just gave this. Maybe I'll just cancel this. Okay, it failed for something. Mm, Okay, let's say fine. Yeah, I'm just committing changes. Hmm, Okay, and the build server is not working. So now, as I said, the commit ID is like 4B3CE, right? Now what happens is, let's say, okay, there's nothing now, fine. Since I said like there will be a build folder formed, here is the build folder. Now let's rebuild it again. Hmm, Okay, so this is one part. Where is this? This is one part where build.sh scripts creates build files and it actually takes it to build file bucket and the build folder that is formed here. The same thing in S3 bucket. That same file, that build folder, would be used to generate our Docker image. As you see the gold Docker file, here is the one, like the build folder that is generated would be used to install our Docker image. I'll show the Docker image. So this is the build folder that will be used to build a Docker image, and once the Docker image is built, what we are doing is we are actually tagging it with the git commit ID. So this would be our git commit ID that we got. This git commit ID is where you would get it here itself directly on the code and commits. You'll have the latest commit ID as this, like D96E something. So our next image would be formed with this, like D96. So we are actually having this git commit ID. We are actually tagging this git commit ID for a reason, like which will show for a second. So there would be like git commit ID, and this git commit IDs were actually sent back again to S3 bucket. And this S3 bucket has like two values. One is the old value and one is the new value. Yes, one is the old value and one is new value. And the new value would be this one that we had generated just now, like the new commit ID. And the old value would be this. So like what happens now is like we would be replacing old value with new value. And how why we do that like as well, I'll say where is this? So as you could see, this would be like first thing would be like the Docker, and once the Docker image is formed, we'll have a trivy that will scan like as we discussed in DevSecOps. Once the trivy image is scanned, if there are no image vulnerabilities, this image is then sent to Docker Hub. Okay, yes, I think yeah, it had built already. Now let's see our Docker image. So this is the one like 4b, which is an old commit, and now we are actually will be getting the new commit, as I said, like D9. So the image has been pushed in 1 minute, and this is where 1 second. Yes, and the trivy we have like image vulnerabilities as well. Let's go for build server. I don't think it has it here. Where does it have? Okay, it did not create the image vulnerabilities. Fine. So there was a session where I said like where I gave a homework to configure mail server. I think where is this? No, I think I had removed it from here. Maybe I'll check. Like once the mail is configured, you could actually check that things in like the image vulnerability, the Trevi image vulnerability in your mail itself. Since I have not configured, I had like removed this line. Else, once the mail server is configured, you could actually use this, or even you could send the same thing via Slack as well, whichever is you prefer. And yes, so what I'm doing is now in this S3 bucket, we had old value and new value. Now, in the deploy script, this deploy script is actually easy because we had configured argo cd between our GitHub repo and the repo which is here. I mean, the server and GitHub repo. Since what does this deploy.sh script does, it actually gets into another repo, which is actually the argo cd works on Helm charts. Let's say it's Kubernetes now. Since this is the application it's deployed with, let's say, okay. So what it does is like it replaces this old value with the new value. So what is our new value? So our new value is something. Yes, I think I had to check this again. Yeah, it replaces this old value with the new value that is generated once it's actually replaced. How GitOps works is like if this is changed, like if there is any change in the repo, it actually like changes it in the application itself. Since we are actually using Argo CD for it, so it restarts the pods for us as well, if even if there is a minor change. Let's see, maybe I'm not sure if it is being synchronized. Okay, I think the Jenkins, it's making a long time here. Fine, I'll just go for deploy server and let's do it ourselves because I'm not sure like why it's taking this much of time. What it does, it copies the repo and then actually gets this and it actually runs deploy.sh script. That's what Jenkins is doing. The same thing I'm doing manually. Yeah, here we actually copied these buckets. Okay, yeah. We actually copied the values like old value and new value. That is actually these buckets values, and so that like we could actually replace it. Let's say what I meant by replace, it's like we are using set command. It's like yes, as simple as that. Like we are actually cloning this repo, and what we are doing is we are actually finding this value and replacing it with new value. And how did we get this new value and old value is like we had saved it in S3 bucket. It's like then S3 bucket is attached here as well. And S3 bucket is attached here as well, like the Helm values bucket, the same values bucket. We are actually copying it in deploy server. We get like old value and new value. We are now replacing old value to new value so that in our repo there will be a change. Okay, I don't know like why it did not change. Let's see. Maybe let's go for like one by one what it did. Okay, this is build server, my bad. Jenkins, yes, this is deploy server. Okay, okay. Permission denied. Already permission denied. Okay, I think I have to just add a sudo there. So now it's like old value is equal to this. Let's see what the old value is. Okay, and new value is okay. I think it had updated. Okay, actually it has updated this way. Fine, I'm just changing. Here I understood what had happened. Old value is this one, and the new value will be yeah, new value is the same as we said. Okay, fine. Now what happens is like here, as you know, the values.yaml file. Mm, mm, yes, yeah, this is where it goes. And now, mm, yes, this should be the old value now. So we got the old value and new value, and now we're actually using a set command to replace old value to new value. Here is the old value. It's actually like 4b3c something. Fine. The same thing, like if I go for here, and as you see, like cat values.yaml, what happens here is like this value would be replaced with that. And like what happens here if this value replaces with that, the Docker image, like instead of like running with this tag, it'll run like 1 hour before, it'll run with the latest tag. And yes, so I'm just giving the set command here. And now if I go for cat values.yaml, it changed. Yes, it changed. So I'm just giving git add dot minus m, added a new value. Fine. And now we are actually using this git push. Actually, here is good token, like which token is generated. I had explained in previous sessions. Same thing, you have to uh, like put the token inside the server. The same thing which I did earlier. Yes. And like since this is actually a GitHub repo that's actually installed using Argo CD, as you could see in Argo CD we had it running by 32 minutes ago. Now what happens now is like if we push this, yes, now instead of like 4b3, it's like D6e. And now Argo CD, as you could see, because there is a change in server, like there is a change here in the application. What it does is, okay. Okay, since there are 33 minutes ago, because there is a change in server, I'm giving sync. You could actually set the sync status as well, but it's like the few seconds ago, 1 second ago. Yeah, for some reason I'm not able to turn up the website now because it has some issue with the SSL certificate. Only thing is I had to like reissue. But as you could see, since the application is deployed or not, it's just like we'll check whether the pods are restarted or not. Yes, the pods are restarted. And if domain is not working, like I'll check through service. Yes, It's just I'm opening node port. It's just to show the application it's deployed or not. That's it. I'm just changing it to node port since our domain is not working now. 31143. Okay. Yes, as you could see, since the like Argo CD has been successfully configured. So, on an like basic overview, what happens here in this project that we designed, and also like we have Prometheus and Grafana that's actually monitoring our pod CPUs and everything, and like we could actually monitor using Grafana dashboard as well. To simply put, when the developer commits the code, first thing is this code would be having SonarQube checks, and once code is perfectly fine, this will have like build.sh script, which actually generates like these build files. These build files are for a disaster recovery, and the same build folder is used to generate our Docker image. Once the Docker image is generated, we'll have Trivy, which scans our image vulnerabilities, and like if there are no vulnerabilities and nothing, like we'll get that image into Docker Hub, as you would see in just now, like we had like new commit there. And these Docker Hub, like we are going to tag these images with the git commit IDs, and these git commit IDs, we are actually saving it again in an S3 bucket, like helm values bucket. As I showed, like there is like old value.txt and new value.txt, the same thing. And like once this is saved, like the Ansible part in build server is done, the same Ansible now actually goes to deploy server. And because Ansible just works on SSH connection, you don't need to install Ansible here on deploy server. This runs deploy.sh script, and this deploy.sh script gets the old value and new value, and also copies the repo. Like this is a different repo. This is the one like if you had seen like day-17 repo, and this is GitOps Helm charts repo. And like what does this do? It's like it clones this repo, and it actually changes in the repo from old value to new value commit ID. And if there is a change in GitHub repo with Argo CD that's configured, Argo CD actually works like a Gmail account or something. Let's say you have two phones, and you had like Google Photos, and you had taken a pic, and you have backed up that picture in one phone. Like whichever phone has the same Gmail account and uses same Google Photos, they'll be able to see that picture. Same way, it actually checks as a sync between the our AWS EC2 server and GitHub repo. And like if because there is a change in here, there is a change in the repo, so that's where it synced up new repo and turned up our new application. So this is on the like our complete architecture of the project. Yes, have any queries? Yeah.
I think yes, I'm done with the session. Let me know if you have any queries. Is it clear or is it being confused? Yes. Yes.
Clear, Sagar.
Okay, fine. One second, I'll stop the recording.